What up, guys? It's Coop with C&T Designs again. Going to do a couple of these. With the letters I've written out to my Congress critters, I actually got a response from a couple of them. This first one we're going to go over is from Tommy Tuberville. And then going to go over my response letter as it sits right now. That's not my final product, but it's pretty similar to what I sent out to him. If you watch my other videos that I did on my letters to Congress and Congress critters, then you know I've sent out a bunch of different letters and I've got back a few responses. So we're going to go over my responses to their responses. So this is the first one. This is Tommy Tuberville. So I tell you what, let's see. Let me expand this if I can get this out here so that everybody can see what's going on with this letter. So I wrote him on right around February 1st, I think, is when I sent the letters out to him and a bunch of other people. State reps from Alabama, national reps, all of it. So this is what Tommy Tuberville wrote back. And if you remember my letter, it was a very long and detailed letter. And this is what I got back. Thank you for contacting me regarding our Second Amendment rights. As your senator, I appreciate that you took the time to weigh in on such an important issue. When I was sworn into office, I promised to support and defend the Constitution of the United States, which includes the right to bear arms. Every day we are reminded that Americans cannot take their safety for granted. The Second Amendment ensures that the right to defend yourself and your loved ones, which is why I pledge to be a staunch defender of the Second Amendment in the Senate. Every law-abiding citizen has the right to own a gun, and I will go toe-to-toe with any lawmaker who tries to take away that freedom. I'd like to invite you to connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can also find more information by visiting my website at tuberville.senate. Yeah. Here's something real quick, just so people know what I'm talking about when I mention some things. I hate that banner right there. Let's shrink this down. Let's go to IG. Go to home on IG. Let's do this. Senate Tuberville. Let's follow. And see, this is the response I get from IG anytime I try to follow somebody on here, which is maddening, and I'll save that for a later video when I just completely go off on them. But it says my account has been temporarily blocked from taking this action. Sharing your account with a service that helps get you more likes and follows goes against our community guidelines. This block will expire on 22/2/12. Tell us if you think we made a mistake. I clicked on report a problem, and all it says is thank you for reporting this problem, you bunch of mindless morons. I just started this account for a business account. I haven't gone through anybody to try to promote my account. All right, that's my rant on that. So, Senator, I can't follow you on Instagram right now because apparently I can't follow anybody on Instagram right now. So, getting into my response from the good senator who didn't mention a damn thing about what I wrote in my letter to him. His letter was completely canned. It's basically a form letter, kids. All right, so starting this letter off, Senator Tuberville. I appreciate you taking the time to respond to the letter I sent you on or about February 1st regarding the BATF and their current actions concerning making legal products illegal. My letter to you covered the BATF's actions on and proposed actions on products like the auto key card, force reset triggers, pistol braces, and solvent traps. All the products I mentioned in my letter are legal products that tens of millions of Americans own. The BATF at this time is confiscating products like the FRT triggers, WOT triggers from retailers like Big Daddy Unlimited, along with customer records for Americans that purchase these legal products. The BATF has done the same thing with companies that's supposed to be that. If I can type here, and I can't. The BATF has done the same thing with companies that produce solvent traps, a product that people use to produce legal firearm suppressors at home after they complete a BATF Form 1. But in here, suppressors not being firearms, the BATF should not be able to regulate these products in the first place. The BATF is already arresting and jailing Americans for some of these legal products. The fact is, in the very near future, the BATF will seek to do the same with other legal products I mentioned in the letter I wrote you. I don't know how to tweak that a little bit. I posted the letter I wrote you and then sent to many other lawmakers on my social media to inform everyone I know and everyone they know about what our elected leaders are doing to protect us from the unconstitutional acts of the BATF. I also posted to my social media all responses that I have received from other lawmakers. Let's change it. Of course, I can't type. Let's change that. I also posted to my social media all the responses that I have received from yourself and from other lawmakers that I've written to. That sounds a little better. I need to have my mom go through and edit this. She's a way better writer than I am. Of course, she's kind of a grammar Nazi, too. Love you, Ma. Okay, let's get back to this. I will do the same with this letter and any responses I get from you and other lawmakers once I respond to them. Let's see. I will do the same with this letter and any responses I get from you and other lawmakers once I respond to them. I'll kind of leave that as it is. All right. I'm very glad to know that my senator supports the Second Amendment rights of the citizens of Alabama and the United States. I, like many Americans, wish more of our elected officials would uphold the Constitution. I voted for you hoping you would prove to be an honorable man, or would be a man of honor. I'll leave that like it is. Would prove to be a man of honor. I voted for you in hopes that you would stand up for the limiting principles on the power of the federal government that the Constitution of the United States sets forth. For too long now, elected officials in the federal government has pushed the power and reach of the federal government far beyond its constitutional authority. And this has become the norm in Washington, D.C. Senator Tuberville, whereas your response letter to me left no question about your support for our rights as American citizens to defend ourselves, your letter did nothing to touch on a single topic from my letter. In fact, your letter seems like a canned response. I am under no delusion I am some super important, powerful person, but I am one of your voters and someone you're supposed to represent. The topics I covered in my letter to you are extremely important, and they are very serious. You are part of an elected body that is supposed to be responsible for oversight of agencies like the BATF. You, sir, are supposed to have the power to rein in agencies like the BATF to protect Americans from an agency that seeks to make millions of law-abiding citizens felons with regulations that will do exactly nothing to stop criminals from committing crimes. I'm disappointed that you could not seem to write a single line in your letter that showed you actually read my letter. I talked to a guy last night that I've never met, and he got the same canned response from your office to a letter that he wrote covering some of the same topics I covered in my letter, or covered in the letter that I wrote you. As a voter, I'm disappointed that your letter did not show that you care about millions of Americans becoming felons due to regulations the ATF is going to implement. Your letter did not show that you care about people that are in jail right now or fighting charges brought by the BATF that will put them in prison for decades because they sold or promoted legal products. Right now, millions of Americans and myself are looking at going to bed on a Sunday night in August and waking up the following Monday morning to find out we are felons because we purchased or built legal products. Products that are then made retroactively illegal by regulations set forth by the unelected bureaucrats at the BATF. It's not enough that the BATF is regulating products as machine guns that do not fit the legal text and definition of a machine gun, but now the BATF is going to force through regulations that will further criminalize the ownership of legal products like braced pistols and forced reset triggers. When the proposed rule changes from the BATF were posted for comment on regulations.gov, thousands of Americans commented, making sure that the BATF knew that we as American citizens were against these new rule changes. All of these comments against the new regulations are being ignored, and the BATF is set to implement these new regulations this summer. I was not joking and not being hyperbolic that we, the American gun owners, need Congress to step up and defend our rights and our freedoms. How would you like it if a product you legally own was made illegal, putting you in jeopardy of going to jail for a decade and fining you hundreds of thousands of dollars? If you think for a second this cannot happen, look to the bump stock cases. Bump stocks do not fit the textual definition of a machine gun, and they were a legal product to own. Should I put a comment there or comma there? Maybe. I'm horrible at punctuation. But through a BATF ruling, they are now being treated as a machine gun, and anyone found to be in possession of their legally purchased property will now be guilty of being in possession of a post-1986 illegal machine gun. That will put that American citizen in prison for 10 years, and they will be fined $250,000. The really sad part is that the courts have upheld this regulation even though it is blatantly unconstitutional at every level. Senator Tuberville, Coach, we need you and all those in Congress that love freedom to get off the bench and stand up for the American people against the overreach of the federal government. Are you a man of integrity and honor, or are you just another Washington politician? Will you take a stand for your voters and law-abiding citizens? I don't need a comment right there, or comma. I keep saying comment, but it's comma. Voters and law-abiding citizens, or will you be part of the all-powerful Washington machine? Senator Tuberville, I would encourage you to go back and read my original letter. The points I go over in my letter are factual and true. They're not the ramblings of some uninformed sensationalist. I, as a firearms owner and law-abiding American, or let me see, let me leave the I out of that and just put as. As a firearms owner and law-abiding American, I study and research the cases in my letter. The cases I covered in my letter. I know that many Americans go about their lives with no knowledge of firearms laws or the BATF and their regulatory power concerning firearms. Many of these very many of these very people are firearms owners. I'm not one of those people. I spend a large portion of my time researching the text of existing firearms law and regulations and the text of laws that are being proposed in Congress at this time. That is how I know that in the first 100 days of the Biden administration, the Democrat Party filed almost 100 bills that seek to add to existing firearms laws. That number does not count the dozens of other proposed laws in Congress right now that may not have firearms as their main focus, but would still make millions of Americans prohibited possessors when it comes to owning firearms. See the Violence Against Women Act. So that's where that letter stands right now. If you guys watch this video and have anything that I should add into this before I send it, let me know down in the comments if you actually do comment on stuff. Because to be honest, Senator Tuberville's response was more than just lacking. I've said it many times before. These people don't represent us. They seek to rule us. And I was hoping Tuberville would be different, but judging by his response to my letter, which basically just looked like it was there to just blow me off, I'm not holding real high hopes. And then Mr. Tuberville, Senator, if you did see this video, I would be more than happy to talk to you on the phone or in person. You may not be a gun owner. You may not be aware of things going on right now. There are plenty of people that could educate you on this. And to be honest, it seems like you need a bunch of education on this. And if you have no problems with the overreach of the federal government or their agencies at this time, I may not be the most important person on this planet, but I will, however, spend the rest of my dying days out here railing against you and trying to advocate for people who will go to Washington and not become part of that swamp. That's about as polite as I can be at the moment on that subject. So, y'all kids be cool. I'm probably going to leave this letter as it is right now, and we'll probably start shooting a video on another senator who actually responded to me. Again, it's like a canned letter. But it at least is a little bit more detailed than Senator Tuberville's. So, again, you guys be cool. Let me check on the kiddos, and I'm going to see about doing another one. So, I'm out.